So let's talk about the show itself. Mike Tyson is there at the show.
Yeah.
And I realize now Mike Tyson is a pop culture figure. He's on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's been on AEW a handful of times. And I'm not saying this as a slight against AEW. It just doesn't matter like it used to back then.
No.
He was fresh off of, first of all, the prison stint, and he was a pay-per-view bonanza beforehand, gets in some trouble. Then there's the prison stint, the divorce that was very public. He comes out, another pay-per-view juggernaut. But in June of the prior year, he bit Evander Holyfield's ear. Mm-hmm. He gets suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. But he was the proven pay-per-view draw.
Oh, sure.
And so now you've got that guy sort of crossing over into the WWE world. And it was supposed to happen way back in 1990 on Saturday Night's Main Event. But Buster Douglas knocked him out, and that was it.
Yeah.
So he's been a big wrestling fan, loves wrestling, wants to be a part of it. But this feels like a major moment where Kevin Sullivan and Eric Bischoff had talked about, we just lost. Because in their head, he had so much credibility with the fans.
So they said we just lost when they saw Tyson.
They thought when the WWF got Tyson, that's the beginning of the end. Because he was such a significant pay-per-view draw. And here on pay-per-view, we may have promoted that he was going to be here, but he doesn't really do anything. He's just sitting in the luxury box watching. The physicality with Austin happens the next night. But I'm just curious, from your perspective, as somebody who had been there during leaner times.
Yeah.
And now things are starting to get hotter and hotter and hotter. And let's not forget, we're 2 months removed from the Montreal Screwjob, where we essentially said we can't afford to pay Brett, and now the biggest pay-per-view attraction of all is here. Even if you are in the middle of a big losing streak to Nitro, does it feel as monumental to you to have Mike Tyson there, or is it just another celebrity hanging out?
It does feel big. Big to the point where I remember being on one of those Legends roundtables right before Mania. You may have seen it, because I left there feeling kind of disrespected. Like I was stomped on by the panel. And when I said that Tyson was the most important celebrity we'd ever had, I got jumped on for that.
Really?
Yeah. And
what were the counter arguments to that?
That it was big enough without it. Or what are you trying to say, that it wasn't big without it? Yeah, it was big. But it was big within wrestling.
Yes.
Tyson made it
big in the mainstream.
Yeah, big in the mainstream, and that was really important. It was really difficult to get mainstream coverage.
Tuesday morning, it was everywhere.
Yeah, it was everywhere. It was one of the best things
USA Today, everywhere.
WWE had ever done. So yeah, I think it was the biggest celebrity appearance that we've ever had. Mike and Austin and hitting the news around the world. That was really important, and I think it was. You look at the '97 Mania versus '98. '97 was epic with Brett and Steve, but as far as a buy rate, it was very much in line with what other pay-per-views were doing. And I think '98 became the moment when it stopped being an event and became more than a weekend. Now it's WrestleMania week, right?
Yes.
WrestleMania week. People come out and they come from around the globe because they know it's not just one event. It's a series of events and attractions and matches and different promotions from around the world, all setting up camp in whatever city we choose. And I think Tyson's appearance had a lot to do with ushering in that new era where WrestleMania reestablishes itself as the big kid on the block.
When I'm just making the assumption, you met Mike Tyson that day for the first time?
No, and to show you, look, Mike went to jail for
rape.
Yeah, he went for a few years.
Yes.
Tens of millions of dollars, debt to society. I mean, for me, you pay your debt to society, you come out. Because there were people who said, hey, wait, you work in an organization, you volunteer for RAIN, and yet you pose with a guy who's been convicted. All I'm going to say is paid a big, steep price. And when Mike met me, he was talking about mankind hanging out with rats, and I had no idea what he was talking about. What he was talking about was
the original vignette.
The original vignette, which I had forgotten I even did. And there was another period where I did another convention before conventions became wrestling conventions became
a thing.
Doing one in California, and a guy named Sal Correnti comes up to me and goes, "We got a Mike Tyson problem." I said, "What is it?" He goes, "Mike says he won't go to the ring without you." And I went, "I've only met Mike once." I guess he won't go to the ring without you. And so I meet up with Mike, and I'm there for you. And it was funny because once he got in the ring, then he was all his. But it was just that trepidation about going down and being outside your comfort zone. But he was such a big fan, that becomes infectious because we know who's there.
Yes.
You know, there are people who clearly don't want to be there, and there are people who just love it. And Mike was one of those guys who loved it.
I just love that.